welcome everybody to the third episode of the Brew Darn Hot podcast. Sorry, it's been a little bit. What's our excuse?
I've got none. I just didn't want to do it. I was in a very comfortable chair.
For 8 months.
Get up and move into another room.
Fair enough. My excuse is I've been having all kinds of woes as an expat. I've had driver's license woes. I've had passport woes.
This is the worst country song anyone's ever written.
That's the banjo in the song.
It's the internet.
Because it goes. Yeah, so basically, now I had it easier than a lot of people because I'm an Irish citizen, so I'm entitled to live here and I'm entitled to an Irish passport. So yeah, that's my excuse for not doing this. But to be fair, there's also a pandemic going on.
That's got people sneezing themselves to death. Has got nothing to do with why we haven't moved into a slightly different room.
We don't even have to be in here. Well, I guess we like to put the microphone on this table, so...
We like to pretend we know what we're doing.
It just took me an hour to set up the microphone because I was like, maybe it wasn't GarageBand wasn't recognizing my Yeti, and it took me an hour to sort it out. And really all it was the cable was fucked.
Amazing story.
And David was like, hey, let me try it. I've got a cable. Let's just try it. He plugs it in, it frickin' works. You're good at everything, including fixing my Yeti.
I'm not. For a start, I've reached the age where the best accompaniment to wine is heartburn medication. Do you want any snacks? Yes, please. Have you got anything chalky?
Roaming around the house, looking around. Where's the Rennies?
Horrendous.
Rennies are the British form of... They're antacids. Basically,
You could have said anything then. Currency.
Huh?
I'm just confused.
Oh, you think I have a stash of extra currency around here somewhere? There's some in my passport wallet, but...
We pay for things in antacid medication.
Keep talking, I'm gonna eat M&M's.
I had nothing, it wasn't a bit that was going anywhere.
What else do you think I hide around here?
I don't know.
I've got stuff everywhere.
I don't want to...
There's a good chance that there's something hidden that you don't know about. Because your house is filled with my shit.
Well... This is
and it will be filled with 8 more boxes of it when I ship my stuff here.
Yeah. We're gonna need a bigger house. Buy next door and knock through.
Yeah, really. I wonder if we get good crunch action with these.
I don't think people need to hear any of this.
I think they like it. Okay, let's get to the agenda. So we're just kind of, this is real rough today. We're getting back into the swing of it. I've got my Word doc. Okay. We did that. We didn't do our funny little thing. Like, I'm Caitlin and you're
To be honest, it sounds too much like effort.
Yeah. Too much effort for us today. Okay. Alright, our regular segment, stupidest thing that you saw on social media.
I don't know if it was stupid. It was mesmerising. I like the first 2 Terminator movies.
Good old Arnie Schwartzy.
Well, the second one is of course that's not, his name isn't even spelled that way.
Of course his name's not Arnold Schwarzenegger. Duh.
Saying it wrong.
Good thing you have me here to sort out all the true facts.
Well,
for our 3 listeners.
Which is declining as we speak.
Stay tuned next week when I spell Arnold Schwarzenegger. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, Terminator 2. It's the best movie in the franchise.
So what's your stupid thing?
So I saw a video on Twitter this morning of, he looked like a student, like a university student, so of age. He was in the fetal position in the middle of the street. During it looked like he'd been on an evening out, and as he meandered home, he seemed to have come across, now this is being recorded by someone in their flat down onto the street. He'd been accosted by a middle-aged, I don't want to like badmouth this guy, but let's just say he was no stranger to a fish supper.
I don't even know what that means.
Well, he was well fed.
Oh, okay.
No one could accuse him of being malnourished.
He ate so much fish, it was so obvious to people.
He had gills. But he was
He broke the scale.
That's... Are you finished?
Yep. Carry on.
Anyway, big dude, like, bald head, like a giant baby. And he had no clothes on, beating 7 shades of Shannon out of this kid on the street. But he's not really hurting him. The guy's just balled up and he's like doing professional wrestling moves where he's not really hurting him.
Now wait, is this a meme that you saw or a video?
This is a video that happened last night.
That made the news or something?
It didn't make the news, it made Scout's Twitter.
Got it. Okay.
Because it was in town.
Chanel's probably more famous than this naked guy.
Well, there was a part 2 to the video, which was recorded by someone else after the incident with the students. A couple of teenage girls who'd probably been picked up from town by the mum, driving down the road, come across the hero of our story, who was like shouting stuff at them across the road, and because they were in 4 ton of steel with the doors locked, they thought it'd being funny to engage with this dude out the window.
Oh my god.
So they're talking to him, and then he starts approaching the car, so they drive away. But he gets behind the car and starts running after it like the Liquid Terminator in T2.
Running Man.
It was awesome. And I tell you what, the speed out of him in the Olympics, if they ever include naked, barefoot, fat bloke racing, this guy needs picking up.
Oh, that's so funny.
That was good. I enjoyed that this morning.
That's got to be one of the better stories that you've had about Scouts
naked
Twitter.
ball. Naked ball.
I mean, there's some stuff that's on like those Scouts channel, social media channels that like I'm even like, whoa, like people being hard asses and stuff. But that's pretty funny. Mine is something I saw on the Melling community Facebook page.
You need to explain what melling is. They might think you're saying melon, but with a lisp.
Yes, I'm on lots of melon Facebook pages where we talk about melons and how juicy and sweet they are.
The Honeydew Appreciation Society.
The Cantaloupe
Wasn't that a tune by the Kinks? That's a good joke for no one who will get it.
So Melling is a town that's about 15, 20 minutes away. A village,
It's never made town.
It's village. It's a small place. It's where David's mom and dad live. And they have their own Facebook page. And mostly it's just neighbors, sounding off at each other. Like, did you see that guy walking down the street? Or whatever, selling their, grandma's plate on Facebook or something. And somebody posted in there a picture of a parrot in a tree, and it was from very far away, so you couldn't tell what kind of parrot it was. It was green, so it must have been like a regular green parrot. I don't even know what kind of a parrot is green. I don't know. I'm not a parrot.
And McCall's exclusively red.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I thought you can get... Anyway, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Well, anyway, the point is, someone posted the picture and is like, has anybody lost their parrot? And someone commented underneath it, is it Chanel? And I thought that was the funniest thing I've seen all week. If you don't know the Chanel meme, go look it up on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram. There's a Scouse lady from Liverpool who lost her African grey parrot, and she posted a video of herself going, Chanel! Because the parrot's name is Chanel, and she's screaming Chanel into, like, the sky and freaking out that she lost her parrot.
Did you see she was in the news the week before last again?
Did she lose Chanel again?
She fucking let her out the cage herself to get a gob back on the telly.
Oh, that's horrible.
Well,
I mean, it's the highlight of her life, I bet. I
well,
mean,
that's it.
It's a big meme online, though. It's a funny, the original video's funny.
Once you've made it to the top, and then, you know, it's a long way down.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the funniest stuff that we saw on social media this week. What has been your album or song of the week?
I discovered Doja Cat, who I quite like.
Oh yeah, I remember her.
I'm not one for keeping up with the hit parade, but I quite like her. She's a talented lass.
What kind of music? How would you describe her style?
It's rap come R&B, I suppose. But
very cool.
It's all right.
That is Doja Cat.
Doja Cat, Doja.
Doja Cat, check her out.
Doja Cat.
But
no, I've been listening. What was I listening to this morning when I walked the dog? Zappa. I was listening to.
Oh, of course.
To Frank.
The mighty Zappa.
The great Zappa. One of the Halloween albums came out at the back end of last year, which I hadn't listened to.
Cool.
Zappa used to do a concert every Halloween, and they record it. It was a big deal for like Zappa heads his Halloween concerts. And one from 81 was released at the back end of last year, and it's just sublime. It's brilliant. But it always was.
You know, when you're walking down the street with Joe, you doot, you listen to Zappa. That's what's in your ear.
You listen to Zappa, and then I had a bit of Paul Simon as well this morning.
Nice. David's got a great, he's got great musical taste. You haven't figured that out already. My song of the week is 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton, because I've got the part stuck in my head, the part that goes do-do-do-do-do-do. And I've just been singing that all week. And there's also a meme on the internet with a seagull where he's walking to the tune of 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton, and at the end he goes, go fuck yourself. So I'm walking around going go fuck yourself, and like completely out of context. I hope I don't do it like when we go back into stores and things. I hope I don't end up doing that
when
in public.
He did this to the postman the other morning, he didn't know how to take it, to be honest.
I would never.
I had to tell him you had Tourette's.
I have no defense. Anyway, shall we move on to the next topic, which is film or TV series of the week? And I will answer this for us, because we watch mostly everything together these days. We've just finished the Black Mirror Choose Your Own Adventure Bandersnatch.
It's been out for a good couple of years now, 2 or 3 years.
Yep. But we just watched it this afternoon.
I have a terrible habit of things that I actually really want to watch, not watching them. It's like, I'll save that.
Yeah. And then we have to scroll through every single one of them every time we have to decide what we want to watch.
It's because generally you have terrible taste in film. If you've got things that blow up in it, I'll watch that. Does stuff blow up in it? Yeah, okay, we'll watch that.
I never say does stuff blow up in it.
If you've got an animated cat? Yeah, okay.
Never
said that. If you've got a French girl that runs a patisserie? Yeah, we'll watch that.
Never said that! Never. These are things that never came out of my mouth. I'm sorry if I don't want to watch a documentary about World War II 3 times, in one afternoon.
I will one day make you watch the 8-hour masterpiece, the documentary about the Holocaust.
And normally I'm down with something, relatively, not short, but of, reasonable length.
I pick films that genuinely make you angry.
No, you don't. Not all the time.
You were furious watching Primer. You were furious.
Which one was that?
the time travel one where the lads built the time machine.
Oh, well, it was funny because when I was trying to get ready for this podcast and I had my pad out, I was like looking for a clean piece of paper in my pad. There were like 20 pages of us trying to draw diagrams of how they got in and out of the frickin' time machine and how many different planes of time there were and how many of them were any one place at any one time. And like it was like going back to algebra class, and I had to rip them all out and throw them away because I got PTSD from looking at them. The movie itself was fine. It's just we have this thing, you and me, where as we watch the movie, we critique it in real time.
Yeah.
And that usually ends with us having to pause the movie and have it out. And then we have to put it back
all films last 5 hours. Every film.
Well, we really have to analyze before we even turn it on.
What's the point in watching something if you're not going to pick it to pieces?
Of course. Now, in hindsight, that movie wasn't so bad.
It's a good movie.
There's obviously like things that confused me to the point where I got frustrated.
It's got plot holes, but primarily it's a good film.
Major plot holes.
I wouldn't say major.
We'll have to agree to disagree. Hi, buddy.
Hello, sunshine.
Can you hear his like...
Got breathing difficulties, haven't you, mate? It's a disability.
Oh, he wants to come up on the couch, but he's like, it's very high. I don't know if I can make it. I'll just take my goog and sit on the floor.
Seven Up was a series that started in 1964. In 1964, they chose 10 children from different economic and social backgrounds and interviewed them about their life and their views on certain things such as race and class and marriage and family and money and all these things. And the proposal was that every 7 years, because in 1964 these children were 7, every 7 years they would go back and revisit these kids at 14, 21, 28, 36.
Every 7 years they got them all together and they asked them similar questions to see how their views have changed, how their lives are going, finding out more about them and about the path that they chose in life and why.
And the premise of the show really is, at its core, is the Jesuit idea of give me a child until he is 7 and I will show you the man. But if you're interested in people and particularly if you're into British society, how it changes or doesn't change over the course of nearly 60 years.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting to learn more about the lives of young children here.
The majority of British kids
don't go to boarding school.
No.
Oh. Well, it's a thing that happens there and it does not happen in the States. You don't send a 6 or 7 year old
but they go younger
to boarding school at all.
The people with money will send their kids to boarding school from 4 onwards.
Yeah, that's unheard of in the States.
It's child abuse.
Yeah, and this is the conclusion that we came to when we watched it. So let's, if you don't mind, move on to the topic of today, which is food. And it's time for Caitlin's food rants as an expat in the UK. Hey! So, I've written quite a long list of things that I like, things that I don't like, after living here for about a year. And if there are any expats who are listening to this, because I know some of the people from the expat group on Facebook that joined, systems are down. I have joined several expat Facebook groups, so hi to any of those people. I'll share the link. Let's talk about the things that I really like. I've discovered crumpets. Crumpets are fantastic. They taste delicious with a little butter on the top, toasted just right.
You undercook them though.
Yeah, well, you overcook everything.
No,
so
it's basically a hot sponge.
I do like it a little crispy on the top. So love crumpets. Milk roll, which is from what area again?
Well, milk roll.
Blackpool
milk roll. Stuff that you'd find in a bakery, like certain tarts is like a Manchester tart, which is gross. It's I think the base of it's a strawberry or raspberry jam with piped custard and desiccated coconut on top. It's a foul thing.
Well, we both don't like coconut, except on those candy bars.
Oh, the tonic slogs, yeah.
Tonic slogs, which sounds gross, but they're actually really good.
There's Eccles cakes, which is puff pastry, encasing a huge amount of raisins.
Not my particular favorite thing, but
I used to love them as a kid. Them with a cup of tea. Stotties.
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
They're from the northeast. They're from like Sunderland or Newcastle.
And then milk roll that we were talking about is basically a circular loaf of bread.
I don't know if they have that elsewhere, but like when I was a kid, it was always on the label that it was Blackpool milk roll.
Yeah, I mean, it probably started there.
Probably.
Or one of the major companies. It's very delicious. It's cut very thin. So it's almost like a very small circular disc of bread, but they toast really quickly. So you have to be really careful not to burn them.
It's chewy as well. It's got like a bagel vibe when it's toasted.
It's really good. It's really good. If you can imagine bagel chips in the States, if you're from the States, you've seen bagel chips where you go to a bagelry or a deli and they cut their stale bagels into slivers and then they toast them and they crumble them up into little bags and they sell them as chips. It's kind of like that when you toast it, except it's whole. It's a disc.
Yeah, it's a circular loaf.
And I've been loving a 2 pieces of milk roll with butter and a little bit of Hartley strawberry seedless jam, which has been really good. It's my favorite thing right now to eat.
It's the superior of the major jam.
Yeah. So we covered crumpets, we covered milk roll, dairy, everything dairy is really good here, including the chocolate. They have Cadbury's chocolate in the States.
Yeah, it's made by Hershey.
Yeah, it's made by Hershey. Hershey owns the right to the name Cadbury. So basically it's just Hershey's chocolate with the name Cadbury on it. And actual Cadbury chocolate here is so much better. So much better. Cadbury cream eggs here are like, I can't even describe it. They're just so beautifully smooth. The chocolate is creamy. It doesn't have an aftertaste. It doesn't flake. It's nice and crisp. When you have like the crispy shell of the Cadbury cream egg, it doesn't flake. It's just really good. The chocolate here is so much better.
Remember I read that thing the other week about, and if there are any of your fellow expatriates listening,
yeah, I'll share it with them.
Watto, former Americans, I suppose you still are Americans. I'm so sorry you've ended up trapped on this septic isle set in a silver sea. I don't want to put you off your own chocolate, but do you remember I read that thing about there's an acid in American chocolate which is found in vomit.
Ugh.
And it's even added.
Babe, why did you have to bring this up on the pod?
Because I'm sure everyone's eating their dinner while they're listening to this. It's actually added back into American chocolate now because in the US people are used to chocolate tasting that way. Because it was it something to do with the fact that they couldn't get fresh dairy? The chocolate factories weren't built around like dairy farms and things. So they were sending them a type of dried milk that had this certain acid in it.
I don't know.
I'll have to read that again. I can't remember. It was something along that line.
You would know more than I would. All I know is Cadbury's chocolate here is delicious. Bourneville's also very good. There's a lot of different chocolates here that are really good. I made a note that Starbucks is just as good here as it is in the States. There's less things on the drive-thru menu, and I haven't actually been able to go into an actual Starbucks yet to see if they have everything else on the menu. But you cannot roll up and order a pink drink here. They don't really know what that is, I don't think. But yeah, I've had good experiences with Starbucks here. It's one of the only places that we go that has a drive-thru that we can get coffee at. So
Yeah, there is a Costa, isn't there? But we haven't been.
No, we haven't been to the Costa. So okay, so that's like the stuff that I like a lot here, and that I would probably miss if I went back to the States. Let's talk about the things that outrage me about British food.
There's plenty.
There is plenty, and it's just because I'm a picky American, and I'm showing my privilege here.
It's nothing to do with that. It's this place.
First world problems, but takeout sucks. Every place is basically a chippy. You can't get good restaurant food on a takeout app.
And again, this is a north-south divide as well.
Right.
This is like super nuanced.
So they call them chippies up here in the north. In Liverpool, a chippy is a place where you can basically get a little bit of everything. They've got a little Indian. They've got a little American, right?
No.
How would you describe a chippy?
A chippy is... So in the south, if you go to a chip shop, they do fish and chips. They might do sausage, they might do a pie as well. But essentially, it's carbohydrates, English, stodgy, chips, and fish, or a pie, or a sausage, something like that.
Yeah.
A chippy in the north is generally a place that does all that, plus Chinese food. Mm-hmm. And then you've got something else, which is, we probably generally refer to it as a chippy, but what it is it's a place that does like pizzas and kebabs and wraps and that sort of thing.
That's kind of, all in one type of beige food.
Like a takeaway place that's
but it's
not a chippy.
Yeah, so when you go on the apps, and we've just been basically using the delivery apps, because we're not going in any restaurants, we're not going into any of these places. But the big app here is Just Eat, and they also have Uber Eats. They also have Order Yo-Yo, a couple of other local things, or specific to the north of Britain. But most of the local places are on Just Eat, and Just Eat has this famous commercial. Snoop Dogg's in it. Somebody saying "Just Eat." It's very ridiculous. Snoop is like laying there in his bling, getting his takeout.
Can you imagine how much money he got for doing that?
If he ever ordered anything out of Just Eat app in Liverpool, he would probably not eat it, because most of the chippies here are real bad.
He's not had a pupil in his eye since 1986. Snoop ain't footy. Snoop is on Twitch now, streaming him playing video games, and for 3 nights in a row, didn't know that he didn't have his mic off mute.
Wow. Well, Snoop is in a different universe.
I think Snoop's taste in takeout probably
not
a connoisseur.
I will say the one chippy that is good is right around the corner. Well, we call it Keith's. Yeah, it's a generic name of a local chippy, but the guy who runs it is an Asian dude, and his name is Keith, and he's lovely. His child is lovely.
Young Keith,
who runs the food around the corner. He came to the door last time. We got a Keith's, and I opened it, and it had just started to rain, and he hands me the Diet Coke that we got you a can. Oh no, we got you a can of Coke. And me a can of Diet Coke, and he hands me the cans, and he's like, "Be careful when you open. It may be sudsy because of the running," and he ran away. And I'm just like, okay, bye, young Keith. Thanks.
I love that you did that in a Pink Panther, Bear Quack, Kato accent.
I don't do accents well.
Young Keith was fucking born here.
Yeah, he's a scouser. But yeah, so... But like we've tried to branch out, and I'm one for trying new things, right? I love to be like, "Oh, that looks really good. Let's just try it. Let's just throw caution to the wind. Throw some money at Just Eat."
And what happened this morning?
Oh my God! It's most of the food.
And what happens every time?
It's always gross. It's always gross. Always.
9 times out of 10.
Bacon that's uncooked.
Boiled bacon.
Boiled, limp, warm-ish bacon.
Horrendous.
That you can't chew.
Horrendous.
And this morning, I had been eyeing this place that had a tie-dye bagel breakfast
I
sandwich.
have a problem with that as well.
Oh my god! I was so excited to try
the
this.
psychology of colour and things. Red's meant to be appetising and things
That's why
like that.
they do it. They do it to try to get people to buy it, but
No
it's
one's ever
basically a
looked
bagel.
at a psychedelic bagel and gone, oh, peckish.
Well, let me tell you about Psychedelicatessen in Troy, which was my favorite deli of all times, which unfortunately closed before the pandemic, but they had amazing bagels, and sometimes would dye them. The psychedelic, like rainbow swirly pattern,
Yes,
like a
but
marble
you're
thing.
the people who celebrate St. Patrick's Day by dyeing Guinness green. There's something wrong with you.
They also dyed the river in Chicago green.
Yeah, I mean, Christ.
There's videos of that online. You should look it up.
Do you know
I
I
think
saw
showed you.
Cara on Twitter posted a thing in London. You can buy, down in that there London, you can buy a fucking 4-pint jug of Guinness. That's a hate crime.
Yeah. I can't imagine it would be good for 4 pints. After a
There's
little bit of it, you'd probably be like...
There's a science to pouring a pint of Guinness.
Yeah.
It's a very specific...
With the foam on the top.
It's a religious process. And that is an anti-Irish hate crime.
Well, anyway, takeout. This bagel was so disappointing. It was pretty looking. I have so many pictures of on my phone of gross food because every time it's disgusting, I try to get my money back, and they require you to send photos. So I have all pictures up in my phone. The bagel wasn't that bad. It was a little over-salted, which I don't usually mind, but it was weird tasting. Like I said, the bacon was boiled and limp and ugh. And the sausage tasted funny, and the egg was a little too runny. Like, one of those things where you're like, did they cook it at all? Like, it was a little bit too runny, and I ate it. Like, it was pretty tasty, but, like, it was one of those things where I was just eating it just because it was there. I wouldn't choose to eat that again.
Absolutely not.
It was all right. It wasn't that bad, but
No.
definitely would not recommend. So takeout's been disappointing here.
There are some exceptions. Hang on, there are some notable exceptions.
American Pizza Slice.
American Pizza Slice in Whitechapel.
Closest thing to New York style pizza. Still a far miss because I don't think anything even comes close.
No, of course it doesn't.
But it was the best pizza that I've had here.
Archie's.
Archie's has been pretty good.
Archie's do tremendous burgers.
They do a great burger. I had been very disappointed with burgers here. They're just disgusting. They have this weird aftertaste, but Archie's does it the right way, except they're so tiny and you have to pay like £8 for it.
They are expensive.
Which is over $10.
Anyone listening to this in London's like, my God, it's dead cheap.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no. I mean, we're in Liverpool here. Like, nowhere near bougie in London. And nowhere near New York City prices, to be fair. Like,
no.
Anybody listening from New York City. But, yes, there have been notable exceptions. American Pizza Slice, and Keith's, and Archie's. All good stuff. The other gripe that I had was a lack of salt on fries, on chips, takeout chips. For some reason, the UK or whatever, the NHS or whatever, whoever decides these things.
NHS, it's
a society that tries to control how much sodium everyone eats.
It's just everything.
It's
just everything. Everything is controlled. Adults aren't like allowed to make their own decisions about things that are bad. They've got to be dictated to.
It's like when they tried to ban humongous soda drinks. Like when you would go to like a corner store in like Manhattan or whatever, and they'd give you a big old soda. And a couple of years ago, they tried to ban the maximum size, and everyone was like, "Fuck no!"
But this
and it didn't last.
Giuliani started this.
Yeah.
Giuliani, the first person in the world to introduce a smoking ban, and it's been dominoes ever since.
Although smoking ban, support.
Absolutely not.
I support it.
Get on it. It is cool. It is big, and it is clever.
David is an ex-smoker.
Oh, delicious!
He quit. He quit so that I could tolerate living in the same house as him.
Oh God, I don't know if it was worth it.
Oh no! Let's not get into ding. lights on. So, okay, let's go back to the list. My list here: lack of salt, lack of bagels, complete lack of bagels. The bagel that I had this morning was completely random. There are no bagels here. No good bagels.
No, absolutely not.
Customer service. Let's talk about customer service here versus customer service in the U.S. because we've had this conversation. How would you define customer service? When you go out somewhere and you want to receive good customer service, what does that mean to you?
It's
Ideally,
I appreciate people that don't spit in my eye or look at me like I'm doing them an absolute
inconvenience
for
for
being
being alive,
to rocking up to their establishment.
Yeah. So how would you compare customer service here?
Well, it's night and day
versus what you experience in the US?
It's night and day. The United States it's light years ahead. I can't say to any place I've ever been, and it's not just the British, who we all know are contemptible, foul creatures. The United States, wherever you go in Europe or in Asia, nowhere compares to the United States for service. Nowhere.
And what does that mean? Like, what kind of service is it that you get that you don't get here?
You know, even when people tell me or wish me like a good day or a nice day in the States, even if they don't mean it, I still kind of believe it.
Yeah. There's that peppy attitude, even if it's fake.
It's not even the peppiness. It's not even like the cliched European idea of the Stepford wife-esque Americana.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with that. It's got everything to do with people in the United States generally. Okay, there are balloon heads everywhere. But essentially people in the United States are nicer people on a day-to-day basis.
It's sort of trained in us growing up.
Europeans are just arrogant.
Yeah.
Europeans are just arrogant. Now, there are exceptions. The Irish aren't like that. Liverpudlians aren't like that. The English are like that. The Welsh are alright. The Scots are alright.
Mm-hmm.
But you go Italy, God almighty, Venice, one of the worst places I've ever been. And the reason why, apart from the canals of Venice smell like open sewers in the summer, is the customer service is dreadful. And it's like that over and over again, no matter where you go. And I think that's the thing, is that when you come from the States, everywhere else pales in comparison.
And I think this is a little bit of what I've experienced. I sometimes feel like a negative Nancy when, you know, you spend 30 quid on some takeout and it's inedible.
Yeah.
It's here, people would just eat it. In the States, you'd send it back. You know, you'd be like, this is gross. And I think for me...
To be fair, you're right that most people would. I mean, this is a podcast on its own. Most Liverpudlians wouldn't.
Wouldn't want to send it back?
Would send it back.
They would want to send it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I mean, it's just the fact that you don't get it in the first place that people don't care. So I just, from my takeout experience here, it does not seem like the restaurant or Chippy or whatever it is cares to get the order right.
I think
they
that's
don't
the
care to
difference in the
pack it
first
well.
place.
They don't care if it takes an hour and a half. Some restaurants won't even start making your order until you complain to Just Eat, the app, that you haven't received your food in an hour and a half. And then, when they call over, where's this person's food? Oh, I'm sorry. We'll make it for you right now.
Yeah.
Hang on, it's on the way. And it's like, you know it's not on the way. You know they just started making that shit.
Yeah.
It came, that bagel this morning came here and it was warm. It was warm. They had just made it. I'm breaking. My system malfunctioned.
It was like 45 minutes after the delivery time as well.
It was an hour and a half after the delivery time. It was like, it was an hour and a half delivery. But yeah, it was like 40 minutes after the latest possible delivery. It was ridiculous, is what it was. So, I think part of it also is, now this is my take, I know you don't agree, but I think it's because there's a lot more competition in the States as far as places to go, things that are open, lots of businesses competing for the customer's dollar, and with all that competition, people try to make it a good experience for their customers. You know, you will have like the odd experience where you get like a waiter with an attitude or someone who like just forgets shit when they pack your order, but it's usually the exception rather than the rule. And here we order from McDonald's, and every time there's something wrong with the order. Every time. We never get a perfect Mackey's order. Maybe once or twice we have. But they always forget something.
I don't think it's got anything to do with the idea of competition, because the one thing, without getting into socio-economics, the one thing that survives on Britain's high streets is takeaway places. If you walk out onto our main roads and you look at the places, the successful businesses that have stayed open, it's takeaway places. And there's one every 3 shops down.
Yeah.
So it's not about like the idea of it's such a competitive market. It's people just don't care enough.
Yeah.
There's a pride in the United States about how a job is done. And that's something that's been lost in Europe.
You know, like I said, there's like a lot, there's tons of good things about Liverpool that's much more than food, and we'll get to that in other episodes. But, you know, as far as food goes, 2 thumbs down for me for British food. I don't love it.
No one likes British food.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. I think a lot of people.
No one likes British food.
Yeah, and so unfortunately,
what did we give the world? What you think about like the cuisine?
Black pudding.
What cuisine?
Pig's blood in a disc.
Well, to be honest, the Poles do that. So I mean, the Irish do it as well. So you can't really.
Yeah.
But like, you think about like what foods the British people eat. If you look at it curries. Well, you stole that from India. Pasta. Well, you robbed that off the Italians. Fish and chips was done by Portuguese Jews.
Oh,
in
really?
the 1400s.
I didn't know that.
The stuff that's British, you could use to cement a wall.
Grammarly can help you write quickly.
Sorry everybody. I was trying to open my blog and I accidentally opened YouTube to the washing machine video. I'm sorry.
Professionalism.
If you want to see my rant about the parking situation here in Liverpool, complete with photos of the ridiculous way that people park, I've been taking them. If you want to see that rant, go to my blog. All right, well, to wrap it up, let's go with a random question. If you were in a witness protection program, what would be your new name and where would you go?
I would go to Anchorage for its beautiful and fitting climate. Anchorage is like what people think the Bahamas is. It's like their dream place to be, with the sun and the bananas and all that.
Yeah.
Give me the snow and the moose. I'd go to Anchorage.
And what's your name?
Freddie McBingbong, and I would start a band called Freddie McBingbong and the Mercutroids.
Very well done. Very nice, very nice. If I were in a witness protection program, I definitely want to move to Anchorage and be friends with Freddie McBingbong.
It was the Mercutroids, is the best part of it.
Can I be your bass player?
The Mercutroids, only playing 50s ballads.
Did somebody say just Mercutroid?
The Mercutroids. Heavens to Mercutroid.
Heavens to Mercutroid. No, I think I would want my name to be something like super cheesy, like, and maybe like that matches like a celebrity, like Sally Field or something, you know, just to throw people off. And then they could be like, "Oh, are you that Sally Field?" I'm obviously I'm not. I'm a short, plump Irish girl, so I'm definitely not Sally Field. But I think I would. I'd probably move to Iceland because that's always on my list of places to go back.
Terrible amount of fish.
I know I don't like fish, but I do like the Icelanders.
They're bosh.
Yeah.
They're drunk. for 9 months of the year. 'Cause
Either
it's
that-
pitch black.
Either that or I'll just move to like Myrtle Beach. We were talking about Myrtle Beach, place on, you know, where it's sunny and they get a couple hurricanes, but you know, whatever.
I can't stop thinking lately about Hulk Hogan for some reason. But like his 1980s promos
Yeah.
on the wrestling. Hanging and banging, brother. A cold shim.
That's random.
Hanging and banging.
That's the #1 single of Freddie McBingbong and the Mercutroids.
Hanging and banging.
Before we go, we have to thank Ana Lilia Fierro for her recording of Ain't We Got Fun by Peggy Lee. She recorded that for us on her accordion. And for our friends and family listening at home, everybody who's clicked on this link from God knows where on the internet.
Don't make it out like anyone's listening to this.
I'm trying to pretend like somebody is going to listen. If you listen to this, please leave us a comment. And tell us if you want to hear more of these podcasts and what you think we should talk about. Thanks. Thanks for doing this with me.
Bye.